Welcome to this week's episode of the Thrill of Driving podcast. Now, as we're recording this, the MG press conference is taking place and we've just got wind of what they've priced the Hector at.
Excellent prices.
Yeah, they're very
12.2 lakhs starting for the petrol manual, which is very keen, very strong prices. It goes up straight up against the Creta, undercuts the Harrier. In fact, you have the prices, right? In every spec to spec, okay, it undercuts all its rivals.
Yeah, so let me just read it out here. So the base petrol starts at 12.18, not 12.12. The base diesel starts at 13.18. And the top of the line diesel's what? 16.8?
Which is excellent. Yeah. So that's a price where you can live with the body roll and you can just wallow in the back seat, acres of space in the back seat. Excellent.
Yeah, but 12.18, you're probably not getting too much equipment, are you?
Well, that's okay. You can't reduce the backseat space, can you?
Yeah,
you can't change the ride quality, can you?
Yeah.
So you still get that lot of space in the second row. You still get a big boot. You still get a very comfortable car to be driving around in the city. To be chauffeured around in, this is actually very good. So I think it's money worth spent. Would I recommend it? Well, I would like to see some cars on the road, see what the feedback is from owners. But MG have done themselves a lot of good by pricing it extremely strongly.
Do you think this could create the perception that, again, it's Chinese, it's going to be cheap?
That's another thing. So I was speaking to a couple of friends in the industry who work with other manufacturers, and they had this thought that if you price it too keenly, it would be looked at as, you got this Chinese car and you're pricing it very cheap, because that's how all Chinese products have come into India. They've all been on the plank of very attractive prices, and that's why people bought it. But then again, I bought a Chinese TV. Yeah. And I've only bought it because the price was great and it offered everything that was there in other branded televisions. Yeah. So I think it works for the Indian customer. Let's see what the response is from buyers, because ultimately that's the ultimate litmus test, right? To see. But the dealers, they are very happy. I've got a couple of messages saying that they're really thrilled, and all of them are sitting on a lot of orders, genuine orders, and all these guys have paid $50,000. It's not like you paid $5,000 and you've put in an order. $50,000 orders, and at this price, a lot of them will convert.
Well, good on MG. Again, something to rekindle our floundering market.
Floundering, okay, now let's not talk negative, because see, the budget is now a week, 2 weeks away. I think after that the market will start to pick up. What will be interesting to see is how Kia prices the Seltos, because now again that's in the same segment. Correct. The Seltos does not have as much space as the Hector. The Seltos, in my opinion, is a better looking car, but then styling is a personal subject. But the Seltos has got better motors, because I have driven it, I know. Better motors, better transmissions. So in terms of the engineering that has gone into it, and it is based on the Creta platform. Kia is not going out and out and saying that it is the Creta platform for obvious reasons, but it is the Creta platform, and that is a damn good thing, because we have been driving the Creta for so long and we love it. Yeah. So the only thing the Seltos does not have and that the Hector has is the space, acres of space. So it's interesting to see what the Indian customer will gravitate to.
Yeah. And speaking of Indians driving crazy cars, you went and drove a Lamborghini Huracan Performante and a Porsche 911 GT3 on some mad roads in India.
Epic story. So that was 3 weeks ago. For obvious reasons, we could not talk about it. Yeah. That is the cover story of the July issue of Evo. It's in the press right now, but here's a sneak look at the cover. It's got the Huracan Performante and it's got the 911 GT3.
Those are
two insane cars. The Huracan Performante, to update you, okay, or to just jog your memory, was the Nürburgring lap record holder. Yeah. It achieved those Nürburgring lap times thanks to very trick aerodynamics. Yeah. Lamborghini calls it ALA, but here in Maharashtra you would probably call it ILA, because it does crazy stuff to the car. What it is like a Formula 1 DRS system where flaps open and close depending on the requirement. So it reduces drag when you want more top speed, it increases the downforce when you want cornering, and it can switch it from side to side. So if you're going round a corner, it can increase the downforce on the inside wheels, because obviously the inside wheels would lift. So it can increase the downforce there, keep the car more planted, reduce body roll, increase grip, and that's what gives it the Nürburgring lap time.
Yeah.
as for the GT3, well, that is a homologation special. So the Porsche Super Cup, that is the tin top series, which is the most popular tin top series in the world. And all of those cars have to be related to the road cars, and they are related to the GT3 and the GT3 RS. The RS is obviously even more track focused, even more hardcore, but the GT3 is a track car. Now, we drove these cars in Kerala. We keep getting this question. So whenever we drive AMGs or M cars, now people keep telling us that, okay, fine, no, they're fast, but where can you drive it? Where can you drive it? All that bullshit.
And AMGs and M cars are still usable.
True.
These are hardcore cars.
True. And so if I had a buck for every time somebody asked me where could you drive these cars, I would probably own a Huracan Performante or a GT3. But the thing is that if you have these cars, you will find the roads to drive it. And I don't mean driving like an absolute lunatic and being a threat to other people on the road, but you will find places to drive it. We live in Pune. We have the expressway, which is very close by. We have the road going up to Lavasa. We have the road going up to Ambi Valley. Some nice driving roads where you can enjoy these cars at legal speeds. Right? So we have this. In Kerala, I've lived in Kerala in my childhood. There are no roads where you can drive it because the population density is so much that unless you go out when there's a general strike, which happens quite often, and there's nothing on the road, but otherwise there's just so much of traffic density on the road that the roads are clogged all the time. 100 kilometers would take you 3 hours. Because there's just so much of traffic. But Ashik, a friend of Evo, he owns both these cars. Now just imagine, you would think a guy who owns a GT3 would be like God. He's got a GT3 and he's got a Performante and he's got a 458 Italia and he's got a 911 Carrera.
Which has done 100,000 kilometers.
His 911 Carrera has done 100,000 of kilometers. All of it in Kerala and obviously in the south driving around. 100,000 kilometers. His 458 Italia has got the highest mileage of any Ferrari in India. He uses his cars, and for that he made us wake up at 3 in the morning. We hit the road at 5:30 in the morning, and at that time it's empty. He lives in Calicut, Kozhikode, as the Malayalis would call it. Getting out of the city at 5 in the morning, completely empty. You can really blast through the city, get out, lovely roads, no traffic, and he drives like a madman. He really knows his roads because he's been driving there for years. Even over speed breakers, he knows exact angle of attack, exact speed at which you could go through it. And then he stopped and told me, okay, come on, let's just go drive a little faster. And I assume that I'm a fast driver, but I'm driving somebody else's GT3. Now, you don't want to put a scratch on it, forget doing something stupid. So you take it easy, and he's like, no, come on, drive faster, you're slowing down, because for him every drive is a drive against the clock
until everybody wakes up.
So I say, okay, now shit, if he's telling me to go for it, no, if somebody's telling you to go for it in a GT3, you bloody go for it. And what a drive it was. So Alamin, Rohit, our videographer, our photographer, they were following in a Land Cruiser that was our camera car. We drove, I think, for 10 minutes. Then Ashik stopped. He had his friend with him. He put his friend in the Land Cruiser and said, okay, he knows the directions. Let the Land Cruiser not slow us down. And then we just blasted down those hill roads, going up into the Wayanad forest. Fantastic. What a drive.
Now, the Lamborghini is every 9-year-old's dream. And the 911 is sort of a more enthusiast, driver-focused.
So this
what should be your pick between the two?
Yeah, so this story, okay, in my head, the headline, the cover line was Porsche versus Lamborghini. So that was the whole idea behind the story. In fact, I told Ashik also that, listen, I'm going to put you on a spot and I'm going to ask you at the end of the drive that what would it be? Would it be the Porsche? Would it be the Lamborghini? He said, you tell me, okay, because you're driving the car, right? So you tell me what would be better. At the end of the day, and we drove this for the entire day, we got back into Calicut at, I think, 5 o'clock, right? After leaving at 4:35 in the morning. He asked me that question, and I could not give him a straight up answer. Now, if you look at prices, the Huracan Performante is twice the price of the GT3. But you're going to spend a couple of crore of rupees, and extra couple of crore of rupees, I don't think is such a big deal. So pricing, let's put it out of the equation. The Huracan, my God, it's insane. The noise from the engine. It's impossible that car is street legal. It makes an insane noise, and then when you step on it, even a GT3 does not prepare you for the violence, for the acceleration of a Huracan Performante. It grips, it throws your head back into the headrest, and you're screaming like a girl. No offense, but it's just like, it's like you just struggling to hold on. It's unbelievable the speed, the turn of speed of that car. And then when you ask me that what would it be, it's difficult to say because the Huracan Performante is this in-your-face, loud, aggressive, wild car. The GT3 is more usable. You can almost instantly get to speed with the car. Like the Huracan, the power window switches are on the center console, the indicators are on the steering wheel. So it takes time to figure out where everything is. In the GT3, you can blindly just drive it because everything is where it is supposed to be. After you sit in the Performante, the GT3 feels like a Rolls Royce. It's so much more comfortable. The seats are so much more comfortable. But if I were to buy, I would still probably buy the Porsche because I am a Porsche fanboy. Yeah. I'll admit to that. But if you can afford it, man, buy both. What a guy, man. Ashik Tahir, you are our lifelong friend. And you should read the story. We also put together a short video which will go live next week. Yeah. I had the most fun in a very long time driving these cars, and for Ashik to trust me with his cars, man, he's either a very trusting guy or he has got a very high estimation of my driving abilities.
You beat Gaurav Gill, on those Kerala roads only, so he must be like, it's fine.
Yeah. In fact, speaking of Gaurav Gill, our colleague Hari, he was down in Coimbatore a couple of days ago at the Mahindra Adventure's first test of the XUV300, what they're calling the Super XUV300.
So they're calling it the Super XUV, not the Super Mini XUV.
Yeah. I don't think they're taking naming tips from you, Adish. So they were testing the XUV300. They've got two specs. Okay. They've got the petrol and they've got the diesel. Gaurav Gill will be driving the petrol. Okay. Amitrajit Ghosh will be driving the diesel. Now, if you are a rally fan, you obviously are on the rally.co.in Facebook page, and all that you've read about the petrol XUV making 220 horsepower is a load of crap because Leela is a genius, but he's not Einstein. The stock XUV300 makes 110 horsepower. You can't double the power of the car. This car is made to R2 specs. It will probably be around 30-40 horsepower more than the stock XUV300. But this is only the start of their development process.
But I have a question though. Why are they running two cars?
I think two different categories. Yeah. So the petrol will be in the INRC2 category, and the diesel, I think it might be in another category, which makes sense, right? Because all these cars will qualify for the overall honors. But then for class honors, you have like two different cars in two different categories. So you have a bigger truckload of trophies coming home if the car is quick. Now, I think for the first round in Chennai, Gaurav Gill will have a tough fight on his hands because Karna Kadur, he is one of the faster up-and-coming drivers. He's got the Volkswagen 1.2 Turbo. Now, this is very closely related to the car that I drove in the popular rally last year, but mine was the 1.6 naturally aspirated. The 1.2 Turbo was running as the safety car, and that was very quick. Imagine a 1.2 Turbo. It'd definitely be quicker than a 1.6 naturally aspirated car. He's driving that. So, and the Polo is tried and tested. The XUV is brand new. So obviously the Polo reliability, you can, if you were a betting guy, you would bet on the Polo being more reliable for the very first round. Karna is also very quick. His co-driver Nikhil, he was my co-driver for 6 years, so I trained Nikhil well. But Nikhil is also damn good at what he does, so I would probably bet on these guys being victorious at the Chennai rally.
But then I'm sure there's a learning curve for Gaurav and the XUV.
Exactly. And plus Gaurav is running on JK tires, so let us see what the speed of the JK tires are and the longevity, because now JK, these tires were developed for our rally team, the Slideways rally team, that was 4 or 5 years ago, and then they were put on the back burner because then we obviously got busy with all the other stuff that we were doing. So we'll have to see what the pace of the JKs are. The MRFs tried and tested, so obviously they are quicker. But then Karna is also a JK supported driver now, so Karna is also on JK tires. The XUVs, only Gill's XUV is on the JK. Amitrajit Ghosh's XUV is on the MRF.
They have different liveries then?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's see, another day for the Chennai rally to kick off. So let's see what
When this goes live, it will probably have started.
It would have started, and we would have a lot of updates on our social handles. In fact, follow us on the Motorsport India Facebook page, because our guys are going to be live on the ground doing a lot of live videos and live interviews with all the drivers. Aniruddha, our motorsport editor, is down in Chennai. In fact, he's on the flight right now to Chennai. So you can follow all the action at the Chennai rally. And I think this is a great start to the season. It's going to be really exciting. Plus, I believe there's going to be a Baleno RS built to R2 specs. There will also be the CDR, Yunus Ilyas's CDR, built by Race Concepts. Race Concepts, Joel Joseph, who runs Race Concepts, he's also another genius in terms of engine building, and his cars are bloody fast. I saw Yunus's CDR last year at the Popular Rally. Even my R2 Polo wasn't as quick as his CDR. The engine was just so quick. So you'll be keen to see that. Again, JK is supporting Yunus. JK is coming in a really big way, and MRF is one of the title sponsors of the championship. So again, now there's a JK MRF tussle, which is great for us, great for enthusiasts of rallying and motorsport, and let's see how that progresses.
And now on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we've got Huracans and 911s and these loud, fast rally cars. We've got electric cars that are coming with a vengeance.
So Atish went to a studio in Bombay.
We can't talk about what we saw there.
He cannot talk about because he signed a lot of NDAs and embargo forms and all of that. But that is going to be something that will take that brand forward and again push its technology part. It's got technology in its brand tagline.
You're saying too much.
I'll tell you that. And finally they can be, and they have been quiet for the longest time. Finally, this will give them an opportunity to make some noise. But we can't talk about it. We'll talk about it next month. What we can talk about...
We're going to drop a video on it on Saturday. So stay tuned. We're going to put a story up on what's coming. A nice little video on what's coming.
So on that note, subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell button so you get a notification when the story... But come on, hit that bell button so you know when the story drops.
Electric cars are here. The Kona's here when? Next month?
So I drove the Kona in South Korea, in Seoul, on public roads, and I was quite impressed with it. I was not so impressed with the Ioniq, which is their electric car, but the Kona has been designed to take the electric powertrain right from the start, and it was nicer to drive. Now, electric cars aren't really going to kindle the fires in you like a Lamborghini or a Porsche does. Maybe Porsche's electric car might, I don't know, but the Kona, for what it does, right? It'd be an excellent city commuter. Noiseless, easy to drive. I don't know why, but electric cars somehow feel easier to drive than IC engine cars. Now, IC engine cars, I'm talking about automatics, right? But an electric car is just so much easier.
It's quiet,
it's
silent.
Quiet, it's noiseless, it is completely stress-free. And I think if they price it well, I don't know what Hyundai are going to price it at, but they are taking effort because this is not a CBU, it is a CKD, so it is assembled at their Chennai factory, not manufactured but assembled at the Chennai factory, so the pricing should not be way over the top. And knowing Hyundai, they would have researched this, they would have done their market surveys, now they would have really put a lot of effort into it. The Kona will not be available across the country at all dealers. Only select dealers will be allowed to sell the Kona. So they will obviously have the equipment, they will have the charging stations, and I think Hyundai are going to install a charging station at all the customers, either at home or in the office. So you will have a quickish charger. Let's see what they finally roll out.
Well, you've driven the Kona. Have you driven the I-Pace?
I have driven the I-Pace.
So you've driven the I-Pace, the Kona. They're the first generation of uncompromising electric cars. Where you're not compromising on range, you're not compromising on performance, you're not compromising even on design anymore. How do they stack up to conventional cars?
So the I-Pace, I think it stacks up very well. It is very well turned out. The I-Pace is coming to India, by the way, next year, the second half of next year. I think it is really nice to drive. The thing with electric cars is that it's got this instant torque. So the first time you step on, you're like, whoa, man, it really pins you in the back of the seat. It's got excellent performance. But also, electric cars are a one-trick pony. So once you get used to all that performance, then what? Then it's like, okay, look at, like an iPhone, for instance, okay? For the first week or two, it's a cool toy to have. And then after that, it's like, okay, you've got an iPhone and you use it like anything.
Yeah.
I think that is the differentiator between a petrol engine car or a diesel engine car. There is a nuance to it. There is torque, there is drivability, there is how it performs at low speed, how it performs at a higher speed. All of that is there. With an electric car, it's more a one-trick pony. I think it is great for city use. It will take out the pollution from the city. I think it's a good step forward. But this whole mania of electric cars, I think is a little bit overdone because you don't need the government or the Niti Aayog to say that by 2025 or 2030, okay, everything, all electrics. Under 150cc bikes, all electric. Let the market find its own space. Right? Why do you want to support one powertrain over another? Offer a similar platform. Let the market decide. Don't ban non-electric vehicles, for instance. Don't ban petrol bikes. I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You offer the incentives to electrics, right? You reduce the GST on electrics. Bring the pricing on par. Let the market decide. Not you. They say that you cannot make normal bikes or you can't make normal scooters. That I think is a bit over the top.
Well, okay, that's it. We've overstretched our time once again. But we obviously had a lot to say about everything that we've driven in the last week. That's it for this week's episode of the Thrill of Driving podcast. I hope you liked it. In fact, we got a good response to last podcast we did where we spoke about how to be an automotive journalist.
Yeah, a lot of queries on internships. So if you want to intern with us, hit us up at careers@gtopublishing.com. That is CAREERS at gtopublishing.com. Don't forget to attach an email saying why you want to work with us, okay, and also a writing sample. That is crucial.
Yeah, that's how we know what you write like. Yeah, so hit us up if you're interested. We're looking to get freshers and new people on board.
I started off as an intern. Atish started off as an intern. All the best journalists have started off as interns. So hit us up and all the best. We'll see you next week.